When you get new leadership and you have a leader that comes from a completely different background who has shaped his career through a head high school coach and then his time at Clemson and SMU, you get a different way of doing things. And so I think it's refreshing. I think it's positive. I think our guys are receiving it very well. And I think they're all really excited about the direction that we're heading.
Do you have any other guys with your group? I know in the past fullback and tight end level interchangeable. Do you have any work with the fullbacks?
Yeah, I think they're going to probably naturally migrate towards me. A couple of those guys, with Kendrick and with Hayden, and kind of see how that plays out, as we get going in football. But for the time being, that's how we're approaching it. And each case will be a little bit different, But yeah, those guys are kind of absorbing into my room right now.
A lot of times,
absorbed into my room.
A lot of times when you get a coaching change, it's a fresh start for a lot of players. But your guys, for the most part, you're back with them.
Yeah.
Is there still that sense though with some of these guys that they get a fresh start?
Oh, for sure. And that's been a big emphasis of mine toward them, or in my communication with them, is, hey, we're all starting from baseline. Every day that you come over to this building is a chance for you to build your brand and your identity on who you are. And so whatever you've been, you can't rest in that, whether it be good or bad. And so I think it's a really refreshing thing across the board. And even though they have the same position coach they report to, they're going to see differences in me, because of the direction, the expectations, the philosophies that Coach Morris has. They're going to see a different Coach Lunney to a large degree. Now I'm still going to be the same, I'm not going to come in wearing a toupee or anything, although I thought about that to represent new beginnings, just to come in with a piece, and see what they thought about that. But it's going to be me, and I'm going to be me. But we're going to be a different scheme. We're going to have different expectations, a different schedule. And so I think with all that represents change, even though it's a familiar face, which I think is a good thing, for them to have familiarity. But the last thing I'm going to do, and that anybody's doing here, is using the barometer of the past to gauge what's about to happen in the future.
Low number signing class-wise, how did that change things for you guys as a staff?
Well, I think in the transition and the quick turnaround that we had with the early date and even how quickly it comes in January as Coach was filling his staff out, I think I wouldn't say it made it easier, but it made us to be able to kind of zero in a little bit more finite on exactly what we were needing and who we are targeting. And so that was a good thing that the class was a little bit smaller. Obviously on the negative side of that, we weren't able to probably address or go after a lot of the guys that maybe that we had developed relationships with, that they had developed relationships at SMU, or Coach Chavis and them had developed at A&M, or we had developed here. We had to be a little bit more finite in who we decided to go after. But all in all, I thought we handled the transition pretty well, considering the timeline of events. But in small class, I think we got a really quality amount of prospects. Obviously, the quantity wasn't there, but the quality, I think, was really high.